just got rage smashed. Hello, welcome to RAGEsmash. This is a very special show. It's OSW Overlord. Hopefully everybody can hear me and see me okay. Please do let me know if you can't, so I can fix whatever problems there may or may not be. Okay, so before we get started, I want to explain a little bit about the show and what it's all about. I'll be honest, I'm definitely nervous. This is normally a Mike Lane jobby. Me taking hold of this today is definitely outside of my comfort zone a bit. Even though I created this whole thing and put together this whole community, doing this is definitely new, so I'm not sure if you're going to be able to read everything okay on screen. Obviously, I'll be reading it to you anyway, so hopefully this will make a difference. Please do give me some feedback after the show and let me know if you needed the box for the writing to be bigger or any sort of issues like that. And we will get to it. So, without further ado, I think it's probably time to get into some Overlord. So, who's ready? Let's see some R's in the chat for those of you that are ready for some OSW Overlord. We've got a T from Gray. Has to be different. Alright guys, let's get to it. Well, I hope you guys had sound there, because I didn't. It didn't come through my headset with the normal sound for me, but hopefully you guys all had sound on yours. Okay, so here we go, guys. Perfect. It was a beautiful Mike Lane video, there's no doubt about it. Spoiler alert, guys, there is one for an invasion as well, so we're ready to go. Okay. So we're opening the show with the Butcher in a segment called House. Click. Static covers the screen as a play symbol appears in the bottom right hand corner. In a very secret location, the Butcher sits on what looks to be an extremely comfortable bed, looking aimlessly at the door. He wants out. He wants back to OSW, but something or someone is keeping him. Very rarely has he been a man that hasn't been able to come and go as he pleases. That's when the monitor on the wall flickers, startling him. The ominous and darkened figure of his captor then appears, his voice altered and his entire body covered in darkness. "Have you changed your mind yet?" he asks hopefully. The Butcher folds his arms, disinterested. "Once you tell me what I need to know about the guild, this can all be over." He says nothing, which we've come to expect. "Colin, you're running out of time. You must know that history often tends to repeat itself. The world works in cycles. What was will eventually be again, and so forth. You can't run from it. You can't deny it." "What does that have to do with anything?" the Butcher asks, looking a mite confused. "Well, the guild can't stop what's coming. Invasion will be the dawn of a very different day in OSW. That makes Butch think. He looks up, swirling his tongue inside his mouth. "I see," he muses. "And you think this changes anything?" Everyone is going to look at invasion as exciting, but they won't see the truth behind it. Not like you and I. There's more to it than meets the eye, isn't there? Again, he says nothing. "Mr. House?" That suddenly gets the attention of the Butcher. His eyes widen and his ears perk. That isn't how you prefer to know him, but he's infiltrating your empire, making decisions and impacting the order of things. Colin's face screws up. He's angry. "You're telling me that he's here in old school wrestling again?" Butcher demands to know. The shadowy figure nods. "You need to let me out of here," he yells. "Right now." "I can do that," the figure agrees. "But first, you need to give me answers." The Butcher sighs, laying down on his bed. It's a long story, he says solemnly. And it started when my wife died. Cut. Alright guys, so we're there with the Butcher. There's clearly something going on. He wants out of his captivity. Someone's keeping him there. They want information from the guild. Hopefully we'll get something more by the end of the show. We're moving on to a segment now featuring these three badasses called War Never Changes. Okay, so we're somewhere else. In the gorilla position, just behind the curtain. There stands the War Machine, geared up for their tag team match against Anonymous and Alton Whitlock. Major Thom stands with them. Is this one of their last hurrahs before it all goes to shit tomorrow night? Men, Thom begins. Tonight is the perfect opportunity to remember exactly who we are. Malice and Bishop take a hard look at each other before turning to their leader. Tonight's about more than going out there and reminding some computer nerd and bureaucrat who the best team in OSW is. It's about more than showing the entire world just what the War Machine is all about. Thom looks both Malice and Bishop in the eye as he takes a half-smoked cigar from behind his ear and lights it. It's about remembering who the fuck we are. It's about remembering why we joined forces as the War Machine in the first place. Malice and Bishop aren't exactly thrilled for another pep talk, but they respect their leader and they show him that with their full attention. Thom continues, we are warriors. More importantly, we are brothers. And win or lose, boys, we remain brothers. Whether that's in the ring or on the battlefield, our brotherhood is bound by blood, in arms, with the sacrifices we make for one another. Nothing comes between those bonds. Not women, Thom looks Malice in the eyes. And not championships. He tosses a look at Bishop. War never changes, and as long as there's war, the War Machine continues on. Hoorah. Major Thom sticks his fist out. Malice and Bishop look at each other and nod. All three bump fists. Now, let's go kick some ass, Thom says. Alright. Nice segment there. Very interesting. I'm glad to see the War Machine still on the same page, as I'm sure you guys are. A brilliant stable. One that'll go down in history for sure. We're moving on to Alton Whitlock and Anonymous versus the War Machine. Can the War Machine get a massive win before they face each other later on tonight? Or will the same be said for Whitlock and Anonymous, who also face each other tonight? It's a very interesting match, that's for sure. Will the Rebel and the establishment throw a wrench in the War Machine? Despite Anon's protest, Whitlock dictates that he start the match. Ladder match wounds be damned. Malice cracks his fingers, envisaging doing the same to Alton's bones. Ding ding ding. Gravedigger? Malice narrowly misses an immediate lariat from hell. Whitlock kicks Malice's hamstring, exploiting his chronic injuries. Party politics? Nope. Alton wants to end this early with the overdrive, but the Michigan Mauler snaps him into a power slam. Alton writhes in pain, his back shot after capturing the double feature championship. Malice dismantles him with a suplex after suplex, then cripples him with a powerbomb. 1, 2, Anonymous makes the save. The referee ushers him out. Malice retaliates, dragging Whitlock over to tease a tag. Gravedigger. The Marine decapitates the politician in front of his partner. Malice tags in the 6'10" Bishop. The outlaw picks Alton's carcass clean with methodical strikes. He hoists them onto his shoulder. Snake eyes, here comes the boot. Crosshairs, Whitlock ducks. Bishop gets underneath. Hung up on the ropes, hot tag to Anonymous. The hacktivist takes Bishop for a ride, then slingshots him into the mat. Bishop grabs Anon's boot. Enziguri, the last gunslinger, falls to one knee. Famouser, the gunpowder plot, but Bishop pops out of it. Anon spins around. The Texan lifts him up onto the tombstone. Last rites. Bishop covers Anonymous. 1. Whitlock darts in for the save. 2. Buckshot. Malice scores Alton. 3. The War Machine mulches its would-be saboteurs. Ooh. And there it is, folks. There it is. Out of nowhere. Very quick ending. Didn't expect it. I thought it was going to be a kick out there. And boom. Straight there. Beautiful. All right. I think I'll get used to this reading matches part because as you're reading them, they're faster paced than you are, and it's definitely something I have to get used to. I'll tell you what, when it comes to Mike Lane, you have to give him all the credit in the world with the way that he manages to read matches and keep you engaged. There aren't many mistakes. He does a brilliant job. This segment is, again, we're back to the Butcher, and it's called The Race. We're somewhere else. So, we're back with the Butcher inside his captivity. He still lay on his bed, his eyes now focused on the ceiling. There's an eerie silence. I was desperate to find a way to speak with her. I was desperate to have her back. I went searching for anything I could find to let me do that. I searched the dark arts, black magic and spells. I did anything and everything I could. He pauses for a moment. That's when the guild found me, he admits. My purchase of old school wrestling was no coincidence. I knew it, the voice proudly announces. I was led to believe that the Skull Order convinced you to buy it, but that isn't true, is it? The butcher shakes his head. No, I had to do something much worse for them, he admits. I had to sacrifice something I love. There's another pause, as that brings great sadness to Colin. I need to know why. The Skull Order protect the world, he confirms, but their inception is nowhere near as old as they'd like you to believe. And their mission is far more complex than you'd care to understand. They needed someone willing, and I could provide that. Where do the guild and Mr. House fit in? The figure questions. I can't tell you that. You know they'll kill me if I do. All I can tell you is that it's a race to the finish line and no one is as far in the lead as they think they are. And what happens at the finish line? Colin pauses for a moment. He thinks about his answer, knowing it'll make a difference. The unthinkable. Okay. What do you guys think about that then? So, we are definitely deep in lore at Overdrive tonight. Sorry, Overlord. Christ, I created it, get it right. We're definitely deep in lore when it comes to the Butcher. We're finding out a lot about what's going on in Volume 2, so it's definitely something worth paying attention to. Hopefully, there'll be more answers to come. And now we're moving on to another segment with Reaper and Redwing called Reach. The eyes of Reaper may remain blank, soulless. Not the eyes of a man who has lost everything he ever held dear. Not the eyes of a man who swore vengeance on whoever was responsible for his pain. No, his eyes are cold, predatory, uncaring eyes. Exactly what the blood shark wants of him. Adam. He shows not a flicker of recognition of his actual name being uttered. But he sniffs the air and turns to meet the source of the voice. The very man he had come to hunt steps out before him. His own tag team partner, Redwing. Adam, I know you're in there. Deep down somewhere beneath the mist. Redwing approaches cautiously, staring into those eyes. Reach in. Find yourself. Fight it. I need you. Your family memory needs the real you. Reaper looks back for a moment. His eyes flicker. For a brief second or two he pauses, tilting his head as if listening to Redwing's words. Thanks for the like, Ray. Definitely a different show for you tonight, buddy. Very different than normal. It's a wrestling show. I hope you enjoy it. You can check us out at weareosw.com if you'd like to learn more. So Reaper looks back. For a moment, his eyes flicker. For a brief second or two, he pauses, tilting his head as if listening to Redwing's words. Then he breaks free of the hesitation, reaches out to Redwing's neck with both hands, lifting him off the ground. He slams Redwing head first into the concrete wall behind him. Redwing crumbles to the ground, out cold. Reaper, in turn, slinks off without so much as a second thought. Moments later, two figures emerge from the shadows. Do you see now? The judge addresses his ally, the blood shark. I've been observing for weeks now, watching. It appears you have somewhat of a problem. They step forward, standing over Redwing's body. The shark snarls a snort of derision. What I see is Redwing lying unconscious, Reaper being the one who put him there. You cannot tell me the mist is failing when I have the proof I need. Reaper will aid us, as he is supposed to do. Then, and only then, will you get your precious answers, and I can feed on Redwing's jugular. The blood shark snarls and laughs and kicks Redwing's carcass for his troubles before he and the judge are engulfed in a bright light and then vanish. Man, the blood shark is gruesome, isn't he? He is so gruesome, he wants to feed on Redwing. Their feud going back sometime. I love how the roles are sort of reversed there. I see everybody still talking about who these other characters are. That's good. I like that. There's lots of conversation, reference who might be who. I don't think you're ever going to get it, but we'll see. We're moving on to another segment. It's called The Plan. So, earlier this week, the cautious faces of Jesse Williams and Brent Kirsch greet us as they walk down a pristine sidewalk in the model of suburbia. Similarly built homes, meticulously cared for lawns, children playing freely. Lucid Falls. The prince nods ahead of them, at the larger house at the end of the cul-de-sac. Mia Allen had the book. I don't know what happened in your cabin, but it led her to Lucid Falls. I know she met with Sandy Rogers. All roads point to Rogers, and this place is having answers. The enforcer shrugs, and the pair approach the house. As they do, a woman in a wheelchair scoots out. Shouldn't laugh. To the end of her driveway. She was really fast, guys. She scooted out really fast. Oh, I shouldn't, but I did. Welcome back, Sonny, she greets. Mrs. Ducksworth. Mrs. Ducksworth, Jessie returns. I guess I couldn't stay away. Is Mr. Rogers home? She shakes her head, reaching out to grab Brent's hand. Mr. Kirsch, it's so good to see you again, she says. Sandy will be sad to have missed you. There's some kind of disturbance downtown, it seems. Jessie smirks at Brent, but Kirsch has an odd look on his face. Have we met? She just smiles and begins to turn around. As she does so, Brent's face turns white for a moment. He looks over at Jessie. We need to get in this house, now. They pair quickly, make their way to Sandy's house. The door is, of course, unlocked. Inside the house, it's eerily perfect. Not even a mite of dust. Picturesque. Maybe the cleaner should come clean my house. Kirsch turns to Jessie immediately. Kid, that woman, a voice calls from beside the pair. You boys are so predictable. Mirai. Kirsch and William seem ready for a fight. Fate regards them with a smile. Turning to Kirsch first. Fate has smiled on you many times, Brent. Why do you tempt me so? Can't help it. Kirsch tightly replies. You're here to stir the pot more? She smiles. There's nothing for you to find here. She turns to Jessie. You keep looking in the wrong places to answer this mystery. You've had the answer from the very beginning, but you're unable to see its value. William shakes his head. I guess it's a fight then. Before anyone can square up, the sound of an explosion rocks the house at its foundations. The three of them all run out to the porch just in time to see Junkrat, skipping like a schoolgirl, down the road with a mob behind him. Time to leave, Kirsch says. Jessie nods, running down to lead Junkrat down a side road as Kirsch jogs behind. Knackered, because he's old. All while Mirai watches with a grin from Sandy Rogers' front porch just under the curious gaze of Mrs. Ducksworth. I wasn't being an asshole. I was being funny. She was really fast. It's not my fault she was really fast. Come on, man. Give me a break. Well, here we are. We are on to the Rewind Championship match. Banzan versus the Judge. I haven't quite yet got my grips to doing matches, so here's hoping this one's better than the last one. Who will be sentenced to suffer? The official holds up Banzan's Rewind Championship. Will it still be his when this is over? The monk unsheaths his claws. Bear stance. Bear, tiger, dragon. All that matters to the Judge is balance. Order locks horns with Banzan. The ring quakes under the stampeding super heavyweights. Banzan huffs. Judge into the corner. Indestructible Mountain hits a splash. Judge drops down, becoming the lucky winner of a hip attack. Banzan pulls him to his feet and sends him into the ropes. Hip toss. The Axe-wielding Justice gets back up, right into a savate kick. 1, 2, will Banzan retain? Shoulder up. Banzan looks to remind Judge that suffering exists. I'm going to try and pronounce this. Dukkha Sato suplex. The 380-pound Judge lands on his feet. The surprisingly nimble metallic arbiter ducks a tiger claw. 5-point palm strike. God damn it, Sammy, you made this hard for me to read. And delivers a verdict. Sparta kick. Banzan is sent reeling into the corner. Gold glistens in the eyes of the Judge. He looks longingly at the Rewind Championship sitting at ringside. He climbs the ropes with a 343-pound Banzan on his shoulders. Perfect balance. Electric chair shot. Right from the top rope. 1, 2. New champion? No. Kick out. I think I should just scroll a bit slower. Judge hoists Banzan up. Restoration. Powerbomb. No. Tiger claw out of nowhere. Banzan hits the palm strike while straddling Judge's shoulders. Order drops him and falls to his knees. Maga Kinshasa. 1, 2. Say goodnight. 3. The champion retains. Banzan ends Judge's eternal suffering and retains his Rewind Championship here tonight. Well done, Banzan. Good job, buddy. That was a, Thankfully, I'm not reading the Invasion main. Mike Lane's got that fucking honour. So, this is definitely, out of the whole experience for me so far, the first time doing one of these shows, is reading the matches and how to how to do that. I'm definitely going to pay attention to Mike again tonight to see how that's done. We're moving on to another segment. It's in plain sight. We're back with the butcher. When we return to the butcher and his captor, the butcher is now pacing back and forth inside the room. Their conversation has clearly continued in our absence, and things appear to be a little more tense. Why do you want to know? Butcher queries. What does any of this mean to you? I have a vested interest in the outcome of this, the captor admits honestly. I always have. That stops the butcher in his tracks momentarily. I just wasn't sure if I was looking at it through the right lens. I will have an involvement in the outcome of this race, I can assure you. You? Colin questions with a chuckle. You don't know who I am or what I've done, he replies. I wouldn't be so fast to assume that you have all the answers. That brings about a brief pause as both men consider their positions. Are you a player? Butcher asks honestly. I'm a player, is the response. I lead a faction equally as interested in observing the final outcome of this. There's many people with a vested interest. We want what's best for everyone, not for an individual or for self. That's why you've kept me hostage, Colin says with frustration. You want to know the players on the field? You've acted like you have certain answers, but the truth is, you're trying to find the lay of the land. There's no response. We knew of the Guild and of the Skull Order. We knew of House and his intentions. What we didn't know is where you fit. I think that now we do. Our interests are more greatly aligned than ever before. Is that what you think? He nods. Tell me, Colin, why do you really want to get back to OSW? Is it because you need to stop him from finding... Enough, he interrupts. Is he close? Not yet. What he seeks is in plain sight, and the longer it remains that way, the more chance remains that he may not see it. Cut. Okay. Alright, so... Whew, we have another player. So you have the Guild, you have the Skull Order, you have Mr. House, and you have whoever this is. That's four factions looking for an outcome, and we haven't even considered Sigil and Legacy as people also looking for an outcome. So 4 or 5 factions so far. I think things are going to get messy, aren't they? Things are definitely going to get messy. Okay, so we now have a segment called Glory, which is Alton Whitlock and Anonymous. Crack! Alton Whitlock's foot contacts the cabin door with a startling force. It flies open. He sets inside the cabin. The room is dimly lit and quiet. Then, abruptly, a groan. Whitlock flicks on the overhead lights. Something stirs next to an old leather recliner. There's a sound of bottles clanging off each other. And then, haggard and drunken, Berkshire Ellison Green stands up and squints against the light. Hey, we got Beg, baby! We've got Beg! How about some of that? It takes him a split second to realise what's going on, to process who's standing before him. But when he realises, Beg moves, and does it faster than his weary appearance would suggest possible. A green bottle comes flying out of Whitlock's head. He only barely dodges it. What the fuck? Beg hisses, coming closer to Whitlock. Do you want? What do I want, Berkshire? Well, Whitlock pounces, undeterred. He sends a powerful right hand at his opponent's jaw, but Beg skillfully ducks the blow. I want you to admit that you can't stomach seeing me get the glory, Whitlock continues. I want you to tell me what I already know. That it's you beneath the mask. Not so anonymous after all, Green. Alton, Beg says, suddenly laughing like a maniac. I've been at the bottom of several bottles since the day you beat me. And even to me, you're not making any sense. Admit it! Whitlock charges forward. He's just about to wrap his hands around Beg's laughing throat when the lights cut. In the moonlight, a black shape comes flying through the cabin's window, tackling both Beg and Whitlock to the floor. Shattered glass falls everywhere. Then Anonymous rises without an instant of hesitation. From his cloak, he produces a black baseball bat. Then he goes to work. First Whitlock, then Beg. He doesn't give them a chance to get up. His hits are precise and powerful. The sound they make in the quiet country night is disgusting. When Anonymous leaves through the front door, the two men are left bruised and bloodied, but not yet broken. As Beg dozes off into a drunken sleep, Whitlock slowly pulls himself off the floor. He almost doesn't even feel the pain. Cut. Yeah, it could be a bit of sting. So we have faction war brewing. We have Whitlock convinced that Beg is anonymous, and Anonymous shows up to prove that one wrong. Leads to the question, who could Anonymous be? Is he somebody? Is he not? Does he have an ulterior motive? We might just find out at Invasion, so, stay tuned. And now, guys, this show has been much quicker than I expected it to be. We are 20 minutes in. and we are already on the main event, and there's literally this and 2 segments left after. So it looks like a nice half-hour pre-show. Then we might be able to take a break for half hour and then head over to Mike Lane for Invasion. That would be quite nice. So let's see what we can do. It is the Funhouse match. It's Sweet Alice versus Red Wing. Now, since we're good for time, I'm going to explain. If Mike Lane wants to go early, Smiley, if he wants to go early, Alex, then yeah, by all means, it's up to Mike. But if Mike does want to go early, then I'm game to move straight on into that. I'd like to raid his channel with the people. We've got 21 people here at the moment. I would really like to raid Mike's channel with those 21 people. I know it's an achievement to get raided by a high amount of people. So if you guys want to do that, and if he wants to start the show up straight away, then we could probably make it all work together. So, Sweet Alice versus Red Wing. Give you a little bit of backstory for those who don't know. Mr. House kidnapped 12 people and brought them to his own house, where he made them fight in vile and brutal matches that destroyed their bodies, really. Each time, someone getting eliminated until there was only one winner. This happened across 2 nights, 6 people on each night. Sweet Alice won night 1. She survived the onslaught. She survived the fight. And Red Wing, he won night 2. So now, Mr. House has declared that these two will face in a number 1 contenders match, the OSW Championship, at Chain Reaction. Whoever wins will go on to face whoever the champion is after tonight at Chain Reaction. The Funhouse match should be fun, if Mr. House has got anything to say about it, of course. As you know, he has he's been doing really well. Hold on, I just had an idea. No, never mind, actually. Okay, so who's ready for the main event then, guys? Are we all ready? We've got 2 segments to follow, but give me some R's if you're ready. R's for Rage, R for Ready, and we'll rock on with this main event. Oh, we just started dinner, has he? Okay, that's fine. Well, I'll take my time. I'll read it slowly, and then we can go from there. Alright, Sweet Alice, PJ versus Red Wing. Chris, hope you guys are ready. Here we go. Who will become the number 1 contender to the OSW Championship? What in the hell are we looking at? The Funhouse. Make no mistake, there's nothing fun about this. Rusted chain link walls, climbing nets made of barbed wire, ball pits filled with thumbtacks, and oh, so much more. Even Seesaw would think twice about playing here. Sweet Alice and Red Wing lock eyes from opposite ends of the tunnel. I know what's at stake, but we might still be able to escape Red Wing bargains. Don't give these sadists what they want. I bet your queen told you I'd fall for that, Red Wing. Alice retorts, emphasizing the red in his name. I need the OSW Championship. I can't sit on my throne without a crown. The dreamer darts down the hallway towards Red Wing, who flicks his cape back. A trio of red blades slice through the air. Alice corkscrews between them. The vigilante stands his ground as she closes the distance. Red Wing throws left and right at her, but Alice ducks and weaves. She slinks behind him. Sweet Alice wraps Red Wing's cape around his head. The Gotham City resident forgot the no capes policy. Alice repeatedly decks her blinded opponent. She tears the cape back, clink, and slams his head into the cage wall. The Wonderland inhabitant angles Red Wing's cowl. She grates his exposed jaw against the mesh. Bleeding from the mouth, Red Wing elbows her in the gut, buying just enough time to stagger around the corner. Cylindrical rollers line the next section, from the floor to the ceiling, like those at a drive-through car wash. They look unassuming. Alice catches up, seeing no sign of her opponent. She cautiously winds her way through the rollers, given how they wound up here in the first place. She takes care not to touch them. Red Wing pounces on her. Using the environment to his advantage, the Red Knight kicks out Alice's leg, grabbing the headlock. He runs at one of the rollers. The killing joke! Running Bulldog into the roller. Psst! Crackle! Crackle. Fuck off, Sam. Alice convulses as sparks shoot out. Holy shit, they're electrified. Live current is running through them. Red Wing shakes his head in disbelief. What is this? He yells at their unseen captors. Alice gets to her feet, her blonde hair now fritzy and smouldering. Red Wing hooks her arms. Return to Arkham! No! She blocks a DDT! Alice charges Red Wing into the electrified rollers! She forces them both through the charged field. Can any title be worth this barbarism? That word. They emerge on the other side, much worse for wear. Barbarism. Boom. Did it. Red Wing's armor is melted in places as smoke creeps up from it. It appears to be conductive. In a design oversight, the crime fighter will surely remedy. Alice's clothing is simply tattered, her exposed skin burnt and raw. Both competitors struggle onto their hands and knees. Alice looks up and smiles. Is that a... We're late, Mr. Red Wing, she announces, standing over him. She kneels down, drapes his arm behind her legs, then wraps her hands around his face. Camel clutch! It's the camel clutch. Alice has invited Red Wing to the tea party. Let's not keep them waiting, she sings. She kicks off from the lip of a cylindrical tunnel. Sweet Alice is riding Red Wing down a fucking slide. The camel clutch is still locked in. Smash! That's me. Wait a minute. Shatter! Holy shit! There are panes of glass inside the slide. Grunts and breaking glass reverberate in the tunnel. The silhouettes can be tracked down its translucent, steep descent. Hey, the slide terminates in a jump. Alice and Red Wing shoot out and up into the air, through a ring of fucking fire, before landing in the ball pit of thumbtacks. Holy shit. Did Freddy Krueger design this funhouse? Red Wing writhes in agony. His armor has taken the brunt of the punishment, though there isn't much left of it. Thumbtacks pierce his flesh between the joints. Pain is the real fantasy in Alice's mind. She can't pretend not to bleed from the dozens of oozing cuts on her pincushion body, though. They scramble to their feet. Alice throws a fistful attack at Red Wing's face. As he recoils, she grabs the head with both hands. Red Wing goes down the rabbit hole, or does he? He blocks a sit-out facebuster. Gripping Alice's arm, he pulls her in. Ripcord knee, the Godwatch, the skull-splitting knee sends Alice reeling backwards, right into the barbed wire cargo net. The barb snags her clothes and tears her flesh. She doesn't believe in the agony, but the predicament in which she finds herself is all too real. Red Wing unsheaths another red blade. Alice unhooks herself and starts climbing the net. The teeth bite into her hands, but it doesn't faze her. She wants that championship. She's 10 feet off the ground. Crimson Justice wings the red blade her way. Shing! It misses and pings off the barbs. Red Wing snarls. He climbs after Alice. The anti-hero grits his teeth as the gauntlets are compromised. They're 20 feet in the air. Alice kicks down at him. He grabs hold of her ankle. Red Wing tries to shake her loose. Something's got to give here. Wait a minute. Where did Alice pull that from? Alice brandishes her white storybook. Red Wing closes his eyes, as if accepting what's about to happen. Thud! She smacks him in the head with a heavy tone. Forget Gotham. Welcome to Wonderland, bitch, says Red Wing. I'm saying bitch. He falls through the air. Red Wing disappears into the depths of the thumbtack ball pit. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of razor-sharp tacks swallow the vigilante whole. Is it over? Not yet. Alice waits with bated breath. Red Wing's hand bursts out of the tack, like some sort of Undertaker thing. That's awesome. He breaches the metallic surface. His crimson and black melted armor glitters with silver tacks. Red Wing looks up at Alice, who checks an imaginary wristwatch. No way. She hops like a rabbit on the barbed wire, impaling her own damn feet. Alice leaps off, split-legged, fucking drop, 20 feet in the air, into the tacks, but Red Wing rolls out of the way. Well, sort of. Thumbtacks have to beat a 20-foot leg drop, right? Alice really is terribly late. She lands on her tailbone, sticking her entire lower extremities. Alice tries to stay afloat on the rising tide of tacks. Red Wing leaps up. Darkness fucking falls. He curb stomps Alice into the goddamn tacks. Merciful Christ, let this be over. Alice slowly sinks headfirst into a pointed grave. Red Wing keeps his guard up, but there's no sign of her. Red Wing wins the Funhouse match. The Red Knight secures a future OSW Championship match at Chain Reaction. Red Wing wins. Red Wing wins. He beats Sweet Alice, and he is going to the main event of Chain Reaction to face the OSW champion. It will be Luke Storm, Edward Newton, Seesaw. I'm going through it so fast, I forgot Mark Goldern and Sigil. It'll be one of those 5 people in that match. He will face them at Chain Reaction for the OSW Championship. Well done, Chris. What a win, buddy. Great job. You've done fantastic, my friend. Can't believe I forgot the names as I was going through, but there you go. Brilliant win, buddy. Mute him on Discord. I might need to. Well, let's let that sink in for a second. We have the time, obviously. It was a difficult match to decide. Chris should be proud of himself. He's worked really hard over the past couple of weeks. The role plays he's been putting out have been way above his normal standard, and I have to say that I'm proud of you, buddy. I am. I'm proud of both of you guys. You both worked your asses off to get there, and I don't think for a second this is the last that we'll see of Sweet Alice in a potential OSW Championship match. The characters are too good, the role plays are too good, the handler's too good. You guys are going to be up there. Red Wing gets his chance against whoever the world champion will be at Chain Reaction. So I'm sure that Sweet Alice will get there at some point. We're not done though, guys. We've still got a little bit more. We're moving on to a segment with Banzan and Candy Cane. It's called Please Help Me. The Candy Shop, black and white. In the office of Candy Cane, our titular hero is sat behind a desk, smoking a cigarette. She sits forward and begins rustling through some files when there's a sudden knock on the door. As her eyes rise from the paperwork to the door, she's surprised by who she sees waiting for her. It's Banzan. What can I do for you? She asks with a stern expression. I need your help, Banzan replies honestly, refusing to move from the doorway. His giant figure ominously covering the whole door, and that's our exit covered. Someone killed Aesop and Gabriel Drake. The latter, they almost convinced me that I did it. Are you sure you didn't? She says with a puff of a cigarette. Look, I promised my fallen brother that I'd find out who murdered him. I thought it was Drake, but then he ended up dead too. Something is going on. It's a conspiracy. I need your help to investigate it. Candy stands up and walks around her desk, fearlessly sitting on it before the mountain. Why should I help you? She queries with a shrug. You're just as likely to be guilty as anyone else. What evidence do you have that this is a conspiracy? Banzan reaches inside his belt and pulls out an envelope. He hands it to Kane, who takes a look, her eyebrows raised. She concludes. When did you receive this? Today. We don't have long to find out what's going on. She immediately gets off the desk and grabs her jacket, walking towards Banzan with authority. Well, let's get to it then. Cut. Awesome. Okay, so we have a continuation of the mystery. It looks like Banzan is going to Candy Cane in order to find out who killed Aesop and Drake. Hopefully, with her investigative skills, she'll be able to help him piece this together, and we might have some answers sooner rather than later. I think it's clear by now that Banzan wasn't responsible for the murder of Drake, even though it did look like it at the time. You notice that the character has been somewhat in and out, somewhat vacant, somewhat present over the past few weeks. He didn't have a match at the last pay-per-view. He's been dealing with the issues of the Gabriel Drake death, trying to figure out whether or not he was responsible, and he's obviously come to the conclusion that he's definitely not responsible. The final segment of the night, before we wrap this up, is called Breakout, and it's with the Butcher. The Butcher sits on the edge of his bed, contemplating everything he's learned and said here tonight. The monitor is still on, his captor still nearby. It's too late to stop some of it, the captor says mindfully, but not all of it. Boom! Suddenly, smoke pours into view as rubble and concrete explode across our screens. That ginormous explosion sends shockwaves throughout the room the Butcher was being held, and he was thrust across it at high speed, crashing into a wall with a thud. A large figure enters, wearing a gas mask that covers his face. He reaches down, pulling Colin back to his feet and helping him to dust off. What the fuck is going on? The Butcher says with a cough and a splutter, trying to catch his breath. He looks towards the monitor that is now shattered and broken. I'm the rescue party, anonymous voice replies. The guild sent me. It's too late. I shared information with whoever this guy is, Colin grumbles. I'm a dead man. The rescuer shakes his head. Negative, he sternly and gruffly replies. The guild needs you. There's too many moving parts. They need you to help eliminate them. House? Butcher asks. For a start, is the response, as they begin walking towards the door, stumbling over rubble and dirt. But the Skull Order, Sigil, the War Machine, and whoever your captor was. This is bigger than any one man, Colin says with a groan, hurt after the explosion. And I don't have the means to stop any of them. You will, he retorts. You will. And that brings us to the end of Overlord. So, greatly different thing for me doing this tonight. I've absolutely loved it. If you're new, then this is We Are OSW. This is old school wrestling. This is a wrestling eFed. An eFed is a fantasy game online in which people write as characters they create. Those characters face in matches, right? And the writing that they've written for their character, known as a role play, is decided upon by a judge, me, who decides who wins and who loses, and then match writers write matches, segment guys like me and people in creative write these segments, and it puts together a show. And that, in a very short nutshell, is what an eFed is. I hope you enjoyed the show. I did write most of it. Thank you to Sam Marvolo in the chat there, otherwise known as Mr. Sandman, for writing all 3 matches. Credits for the show are literally myself, Mike Lane for an invasion segment, and I think Hayden for a segment between Red Wing and Reaper. The rest, and Alex Clark as well for the segment of War Machine, and the rest was all me. So thanks to you guys for all that. Thanks to Sam for writing some brilliant matches. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you Thanks, Mikey. I appreciate it. I gotta be honest, I felt nervous. I don't feel nervous streaming, but I felt nervous reading this for you because streaming is something that I'm loving doing. Combining streaming that I love with my hobby, this fed that I love and I've created in 6 years old. You know, we've had hundreds of these shows now. To be able to read it live to a whole group of my friends is awesome, but also slightly nerve-wracking. Commiserations to those who lost. Congratulations to those who won. We will be back in 25 minutes with Invasion. Now, you can find that on Twitch at fast_lane86. A link will also be posted in the Discord and on the forum. Please do come to Invasion. That show has been written by a whole group of us. There's 8 people in terms of creative on it, and there's obviously 4, 5, 6 match writers on there too. Yeah, please don't miss it. 25 minutes. It's one of the big 6 that OSW has, one of the big 6 events. It's going to be amazing. I am now going to figure out a way to try and raid Mike Lane's party, so Mike Lane's channel. So if you're here, stand by, don't go anywhere. Let me try and figure out this raiding stuff. I'd like to take us all over to Mike Lane's channel for Invasion. So bear with me. I am going to have a quick look-see. Here we go, guys. We're now going to start raiding. So thanks very much for coming, and I will see you over there. Apparently got a countdown of 7 seconds to raid. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.